So I'm what you could call a franchise mode junkie. Um, I'm a fan of be a GM mode and franchise mode and dynasty mode, any of those sports game modes where you can uh, trade, sign, etc. And for me, that addiction starts with this game, NFL Fever 2003. It's not the first sports game I ever played. I believe that as far as actual sports games and not, Mario Golf. I believe the first one of those I ever played seriously was Madden 2000. Um, However, as far as Dynasty and franchise, that all starts here for me. Um, and a funny thing about this game is that I haven't revisited it in a long time. I got this game, and I did not purchase the game in 2005 because I was 13 and I couldn't get the new version of NFL Fever 2004. And then I got Madden 2005, which was the last year of non-Madden NFL games, and have purchased Madden every year since. This game is very sentimental to me. It's very a lot of memories here. A funny thing about this game, big part of the reason why I haven't revisited it is because this game, an Xbox exclusive, is not backwards compatible on the Xbox 360. NFL Fever 2004 is, but not 2003. Just one of those things. For all the praise Microsoft gets, hey look, it's Rod Smith. For all the praise Microsoft gets of their backwards compatibility, this particular game is trapped on the original Xbox. Unless, of course, you emulate it. I own this game, but I am emulating it here. So we're going to start a Dynasty mode. That NFL Films music. Just bringing me right back. Also, that menu music brings me back, but a lot of hours listening to this piece of music, which is the only piece of music that plays during Dynasty mode. So, Dynasty. We're going to start on Rookie. I do not play Madden 22 on Rookie. I play Madden 22 on all Madden. However, I am definitely going to be fighting muscle memory. I'm not entirely familiar with the controls because it's been, I'm going to say 17 years since I've played this game seriously. And we're going to leave everything else as is. I used to do fantasy drafts all the time in high school. Particularly with my friends, we would each pick a team and do a fantasy draft and then play with the teams that we had drafted. We're not going to be doing that. Because another big part of the reason that I wanted to do this is because I am a die-hard Broncos fan. And, the experience that I'm about to go through of revisiting this here Broncos roster is a lot of fun. It holds a lot of appeal to me. A fun thing... so the Broncos at this time... Let's go through our roster here. Fun thing about this. So actually, you know what? Before we go to the Broncos roster, I want to draw your attention to this here thing called the trophy case. This is something that NFL Fever 2003 did better than any subsequent Madden game. And it's not a technology. It's not something that would take investment. It's just a little bit of presentation. Here we have the Hall of Fame. See which players are enshrined in the Hall of Fame. This is everyone who's ever been enshrined in the Hall of Fame in NFL history. There's not a lot to see here. You got your career stats. When did they get inducted into the Hall of Fame? That's it. It doesn't even have, I don't think it has personal awards beyond that. We can determine that fairly easily, though. Johnny Unitas. Yeah, okay, Johnny Unitas, it does show the MVPs here. Yeah, so, like, for me, for 13-year-old me, this was great. This did a ton of work to buy me into the mythos, the grandeur of the NFL. And Madden doesn't do that. A funny thing about this is that if you go, you've got Super Bowl trophies, you can see who won the Super Bowl every year. I thought this was the year after the Buccaneers won, but it's the year after the Patriots won. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So who's won the Super Bowl recently? Obviously the Broncos are only 4 years removed from being back-to-back defending champions. But like, hey, here's a history of the NFL. If you go to NFL MVP, who's won the MVP? Oh shit, Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, and Kurt Warner. That's incredible. Now you'll notice one thing here is that under Lions it says HB Detroit. The people who made NFL Fever didn't want to, because Barry Sanders is retired, his rights are not automatically granted to, the NFLPA. So the people who made NFL Fever would have had to go and individually negotiate the rights to put Barry Sanders' name in this game, which they didn't. They just said halfback Detroit. And then if you go further back, that's going to happen a lot here. But who cares? Especially nowadays, it's like, I don't know. Yes, a kicker won MVP. And NFL records, who has scored the most touchdowns in a single season in NFL history? In 2003, that record was held by Marshall Faulk. Who has thrown the most passing yards in a single game in NFL history? That happened in 1951. All of this is very simple stuff that EA could very easily add to their game. But they don't, because they're lazy. And I have very fond memories of, like, learning about NFL history through that page there. But, to double back, our Denver Broncos, my Denver Broncos. As you just saw, we are 3 years removed from the Broncos winning back-to-back NFL championships. There's this extended period of time where Mike Shanahan is still one of the best coaches in the NFL. This team still has a lot of the pieces that took them to the Super Bowl. Terrell Davis, albeit, I don't think Terrell Davis actually played a snap this season. If he did, he ran less than 300 yards. This was the end of the line for Terrell Davis as injuries began to overtake him. But he's on the roster. And Clinton Portis, the rookie, here to tear shit up and then get traded for Champ Bailey. What a hero. But we got Rod Smith and Ed McCaffrey. Ed McCaffrey. Every time I see Ed McCaffrey, a lot of people will see Ed McCaffrey and be like, oh, hey, that's Christian McCaffrey's dad. Ed McCaffrey, there's this very particular clip that NFL Films put together from the 1997 Super Bowl. I guess it would be the 98 Super Bowl from the 97 season. The Packers one. The one where the Broncos beat the Packers. This one's for John. The camera is looking at Terrell Davis, and a Packers defender is is chasing after him, either squaring up to tackle him or chasing after him. And Ed McCaffrey comes out of nowhere and pancake blocks him, this wide receiver. And then the camera cuts to the reverse angle. And you can see in the background that Terrell Davis gets tackled shortly thereafter. But the Packers defender is sliding on the turf, and Ed McCaffrey is he's looking down at him and pointing a finger at him. It's one of the most badass things in Broncos history.
Oh, my! I'm going to tell you what, Brian Williams, that's Ed McCaffrey that just tattooed you on your back and allowed that thing to go down another 15 yards.
Denver has a first and goal from the Packer 8 with 2.
Ashley Lee, rookie at this point. If you were to, he doesn't wear number 10. I hope I can change players' numbers in this. If I press A, oh, there's no sort of edit. Maybe. He wore number 85. Ashley Lee, if you were to come up with a wide receiver in a lab, he would be a 6'3" guy with 95 speed. And Ashley Lee, you know, he didn't bust. There was a 3-year stretch where he was one of the best downfield threats in the NFL. He averaged more than 20 yards per reception in consecutive years, which was a high mark and certainly remains a high mark. Rob Moore. I have no connection to Rob Moore. I apologize. And that's a funny thing about this, is that all of these players who would go on to stay with the Broncos throughout the years, Rod Smith, Clinton Portis, Al Wilson, Deltha O'Neill, Kenoy Kennedy, these are guys that I would have a personal attachment with through the subsequent years of franchise mode and Madden editions. But some of these guys, Rob Moore, Scotty Montgomery, you know, Rob Moore, it's funny. If you look up in the top, in the player card there, underneath their college, it says how acquired. Again, a nice little touch, Madden. Now, I appreciate, Madden, that you have the player's age. NFL Fever was like, we'll give them their birthday. They can figure out how old a player is from there. I don't have very much attachment to Rob Moore. But yeah, you can see Rob Moore was acquired in a trade in 1995 in the player card up there in the top right under college. Great stuff. Shannon Sharp, skip. Shannon Sharp, what a legend. He played with the Broncos forever. He won 2 Super Bowls. He took a little break to go win a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens, then came back and played out the rest of his time as a Bronco. Dwayne Carswell, long career as a solid blocking tight end. Tom Nalen, best center in Broncos history. Probably one of the best centers of his era. A funny thing about this particular era of the Broncos is, and I say particular, but the Alex Gibbs era of the Denver Broncos, you know, you look at all these guys. Tom Nalen, 286 pounds. Ben Hamilton, 283. Dan Neal, 285. Lenny Friedman, 285. Steve Herndon was 305. Diaz Infante, 295. Matt Leipzig, 290. Leipzig went on to be basically a franchise left tackle for this team, except none of these guys were... This is where we get into a bit of an existential discussion, but these were players who were great in the Broncos system. Not great elsewhere. There's no players from this stretch of Broncos, you know, the Broncos history where they left, an offensive lineman left the Broncos and went on to have a good career elsewhere. Undersized, fast. Our rivals may say that they went after people's knees a lot. Zone blocking stuff. Really great offensive line. The defensive line of the Denver Broncos at this time, you know, this problem persisted through 2005. You may remember the Broncos when we, you know, recovered all the Courtney Brown and the Gerard Warrens from the Browns to try to build a defensive line. And, you know, they pieced together, they did a pretty good job, all things considered, but those kind of busts, who I guess in this game would be young upstart rookies. The Browns supposed to have a devastating defensive line at this point. Keith Washington, Kavika Pittman, Paul Tovesi, Reggie Hayward and Barry. Reggie Hayward and Bertrand Berry went on to have decent careers, but none of these guys are who you're looking at and saying, these are ends who are going to turn the corner and put the quarterback on his ass. Now, Trevor Price, a Broncos great. Lionel Dalton, Chester McLaughlin, you know, whatever. Another funny thing is that this game broke down defensive right tackles and defensive left tackles. Good times. John Mobley, Ian Gold, and Al Wilson. Al Wilson was 240 pounds. It's not like... It's not like Al Wilson was undersized, but he was fast, and his two linebacker, partners, Ian Gold and John Mobley, were undersized. Ian Gold could have been a safety. John Mobley, 236 pounds. Ian Gold, 223 pounds. In theory, a great idea to have three, fast linebackers and two of them being undersized. Problem being that when you aren't able to set the edge, you tend to get run over. Deltha O'Neal. Deltha O'Neal is the epitome of this guy's gonna have a great year next year. Next year's the year he's gonna put it all together. He went on to have a pretty respectable career with the Bengals, but this was the guy where it was like, yeah, just coming off a Pro Bowl in this game. Denard Walker, I have no connection to you whatsoever. I think I would be surprised if he was on the Broncos in 2004. Kenoi Kennedy, the prototypical in the box, gonna come down and put you on your ass strong safety. However, really came into his own as a member of the Detroit Lions. Eric Brown, to be replaced with Nick Ferguson, by the time I got on board, really, with the Broncos. Because the funny thing about my experience with the Broncos, is that I was a fan of the Denver Broncos insofar as I rooted for them when they were on TV, and I played them when I played this game. But I was not watching the games every week until 2005. So Eric Brown, just not my guy. Jason Elam, best kicker in Broncos history, co-holder of the record for longest kick in NFL history for a period before it was broken by Matt Prater, former Broncos kicker. Yeah. If you look him up now, I believe he co-wrote or wrote, I think he self-published a, Tom Clancy-style thriller. Oh, man. Jason Elam. Tom Ruin, whatever. Okay, so, what are we doing here? Global substitutions. This is our depth chart. Mike Anderson at fullback. I will never understand this. We used a second-round pick, on Clinton Portis when we had Mike Anderson going into his third year. He was Offensive Rookie of the Year in the year 2000. In his career to this point, he had rushed for 2,100 yards at 4.6 yards per attempt. But no, best to spend a draft pick on Clinton Portis. Can't understand it. Mike Anderson would later go on to run for 1,500 yards as a member of the Denver Broncos. What are we doing here? So I have a couple goals for our season. I don't know how much I'm going to play. Might play a little bit. I'm really more interested in doing this here, GM mode. There's a genre of YouTube video called the Realistic Rebuild. Shout out to Bengal, who does this for Madden, and shout out to Crushables, who does this for NBA 2K. Basically saying, it's like a Pokemon Nuzlocke, where you're like, these trade AIs, this free agency system, they can be gamed. So in order to put an artificial restriction on ourselves, we're going to say that they need to be realistic. Now, that gets tricky when you're traveling backwards in time, unlike when you're playing the latest Madden and you're just dealing about what might happen, because we know what will happen. However, I have a couple goals for this here team. First, we're going to get a new quarterback. Brian Greasy, a perfectly respectable player who could not possibly live up to being the heir to John Elway, who could? Really, no one did until Peyton Manning came to town. You could say that with better circumstances, he would have gone on to have a successful Broncos career. I want someone different. Another thing we are going to do is upgrade our defensive line. I have my eye on Simeon Rice, a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who did have a cup of coffee with the Broncos for one season, and who I quite like. Maybe we'll try to get Jason Taylor. Who can say? However, the big defensive prize that I'm after is Champ Bailey, a player who is my favorite Bronco of all time, probably, and is certainly the best cornerback in Broncos history. One of the best cornerbacks of all time. So, let's dive into the front office here, see what the heck's going on. You know what? Let's quickly take a peek at who's available on the free agency market. Stepnoski. Mark Stepnoski. 5 Pro Bowls. 13 years. No thanks. Jamal Anderson. Fascinating. Ricky Watters. Ricky Watters, born 69. So, he'd be 34 at this point? Woof. 72. Jamal Anderson would be 31. A little bit more palatable. Scott Mitchell, I don't know who you are. Dave Brown, I don't know who you are. Terry Allen, Burt Emanuel, Mike Sellers. Mike Sellers is ringing a bell. Tony Banks, I recognize. Will Blackwell, Eric Metcalf. Not a lot of... Man, look at that drop-off in the free agency. Whew. One thing I remember about this is that free agents were hard to come by in the season. So... let's go ahead and head to our trade board, our trade thing. So, as much as I love to blow smoke up this game's ass, you'll notice that this system is very bad. I can't sort by player name. I can't sort by overall. I can't sort by position. Or sorry, it's only sorted by position. It's very not good. Can't sort by rating. So, yeah. So, oh, and by the way, I know you can't see this, but I am using my Hyperkin Duke controller for maximum nostalgia. You can take your controller S's and shove it. I love my ginormous Duke controller. Okay, so first up, we're going to go look at Washington. Now, hey Dan Wilkinson, how old are you? 8 years. That is one nice thing. You know, they have a years in the NFL, and like, while obviously not the same thing as age, it does form a nice facsimile. Champ Bailey, 89 overall. Still coming into his own. I mean, not really. Linebacker. So, this is LeVar Arrington, who at this point, I believe, was embroiled in a lawsuit with the NFLPA over whether or not he owned the name to his, or the rights to his name. So, games such as Madden could not put LeVar Arrington's name into their game. They had to give him a different name. Very hilariously, this is true of Bill Belichick, who has never appeared in a Madden game, but obviously it's a little bit different with players. So this is just linebacker. Linebacker is a very good player. Jeremiah Trotter. Okay, so who are your quarterbacks? Matthews, Ramsey, Rosenfeld. Okay, so I think we have a very straightforward idea for a trade here, which is to give him Brian Griese. Ooh, look at that bar down there. Unacceptable. What about Brian Griese? Brian Griese is acceptable. Not a lot of difference between those two things. I wonder if Berline and, like, Walker? No. Okay, it does move up a little bit, but not enough. Great. Brian Griese for Champ Bailey. Now, is this realistic? We're getting it. Can't even get an extra 7th out of him. Good stuff. We are getting into a little bit of the nitty-gritty here, we do know that Brian Greasy leaves the Broncos. Was he traded to Tampa Bay? I know that the Broncos signed Jake Plummer in free agency. But was Brian Greasy... Did he also depart via free agency? It's a good question. Let's take a look at Wikipedia. Oh, he went to the Dolphins first. Oh, goodness gracious. He was released by the Broncos after this season. He was just cut. Okay. So at this point, and we know that Champ Bailey will go on to be traded, alongside a second-round pick that was used for Tatum Bell for one Clinton Portis. So let's go ahead and do this. Great. Washington says yay. So I'm going to go over to the Dolphins, and I'm going to pretend like I have a shot at Jason Taylor. Jason Taylor, 84. Still a little young. Still before his Defensive Player of the Year win, which, by the way, was Champ Bailey's. So what can we give the Dolphins that they might be interested in? I mean, we have Steve Berline. Who do you have at quarterback? Are you happy with Jay Fielder? Probably not. Now, if we give you Berline... Yeah, that's not very far on that bar at all, is it? What about Ephraim Salam? What about Brockenmeyer? No. Now, there is... We've got Denard Walker is a new trade chip. What if we package him with Berline? No. What if we package him with Salam? What if we package him with Salam and a second? Oof, yeah. Okay. Well, I don't think this is going to happen then. Unless there's a very logical third piece. Alandis Gary? Unless there's a very logical third piece that we could include in here. Trevor Price, they're not even interested in. Yeah, they're going to hold on to Jason Taylor. So let's go visit our friends in Tampa. Delaney Walker, Ephraim Salam. And let's throw our guy Rob Moore in there. Nope. Not interested. What about Olandis Gary? Olandis Gary. Well, Olandis Gary obviously doesn't have a future on this team. Part of that Broncos production running back factory that we ran for a while. So let's go ahead and do this. I think they're getting out like bandits. 76, 79, and 84 for Simeon Rice. Maybe we can get a pick out of him. Ooh, a third? A second. Can't get a first, but a second. That seems a little bit rich, but I'll take it. Yeah, I know we don't have a valid roster. That's fine. Okay, so we now have Simeon Rice, Trevor Price. Rice and Price. Love it. We got Tom Nalen. What other positions were we hoping to improve upon? Delth O'Neal, Champ Bailey. Great. Friedman, Al Wilson. Of course, quarterback, but we need to go hunt one of those down. We're trying to set the stage here. Woodall is a player that we will be happy to trade. Maybe there's a left outside linebacker we can get as well. Rob Moore. Okay. So I think there's two positions that we need to go chase down. Can we view other teams? No, we can't. That's very funny. Team play style. We run a West Coast offense, and we run an aggressive defense. We're going to leave those options be, because I don't know what they translate to, strictly speaking. Okay. So now we do the thing where we go quarterback by quarterback. Tim Couch. I think Tim Couch is a good, fun idea. I always thought that Tim Couch was a victim of landing on a expansion team more than he was a bad player. I like the idea of Tim Couch. He's not mobile. Sean King. Obviously, they're not going to trade Brad Johnson, especially knowing, as we do, that Brad Johnson would go on to win a Super Bowl. Sean King's a fascinating idea. He is mobile. He's got a speed of 78. Jake Plummer, I love now that he's retired and I have, been able to look back on his career as a Bronco, I recognize that we were lucky to have him. But, uninteresting for me to trade for him here. Doug Flutie. Dave Dickinson. For those of you who don't know, Dave Dickinson is now the head coach of your Calgary Stampeders. NFL, this is one of those situations where NFL experiences all right as where it's very poor as a facsimile for age, because while he's only been in the NFL for 1 year, he is 30. He played in the CFL for quite a while before trying to make it in the NFL. Didn't work out, came back to the CFL, went on to become an offensive coordinator, and then head coach. Doug Flutie, also CFL player. Trent Green, Todd Collins. Don't think so. Peyton Manning. I wish. Quincy Carter. A guy I always love to trade for in Madden. It's weird revisiting him now, knowing how things would turn out for him. Ray Lucas. Jay Fielder is funny. Cade McNown. Donovan McNabb's too good to trade for, I think. Don't think that's going to happen. Mike Vick. This is where we get into the realistic part of the realistic rebuild. Would I love to trade everything for Mike Vick right now? Yeah, I would. But the Falcons would not trade Mike Vick. Jesse Palmer. Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett, who was just fired by the New York Giants. Kerry Collins. Jesse Palmer, for some of you, is that quarterback who was on The Bachelor. But for me, is the only Canadian to start an NFL game at quarterback in league history. So that could be fun. He's a little underrated, though. I would need to play, and I don't think I have the stamina for that. Mark Brunell. Nah, too old. David Garrard is a rookie. Me, when I'm doing these types of realistic rebuilds in my head, teams don't trade rookies. Vinny Testaverde, old as time. Very funny for me to say, because he would go on to play a number of years after this, but he's been in the league 15 years at this point, and is 39? Chad Pennington. At one point, he did not have a noodle for an arm. And he could have been one of the greats. Joey Harrington, rookie, not going to trade for him. Ty Detmer, too old. Mike McMahon, 77. Britt Favre, don't think it's going to happen. Chris Weinke, don't think so. Tom Brady, have you heard of this guy? This Tom Brady guy? Damon Heward, Rich Gannon, Tuiasa Sopo. I always think of that. I always think of there's this photo of a Raiders fan in the stands in like 2011, and he's got a Marquise Tuiasa Sopo jersey on, and it's like, who are you that you have a Tuiasa Sopo jersey? Kurt Warner would be fun, but the Rams are on top of the world still. The Kurt Warner fall off hasn't happened. Jeff Blake is 86. What? Why? Hey, look, it's Brian Greasy. Aaron Brooks. Oh, I do like Aaron Brooks. Hey, look, it's Jake Delhomme. Before he would go on to have a fairly decent career with the Panthers. Aaron Brooks. That's fascinating. Huh. Maybe it's Aaron Brooks. Ryan Leaf. Ugh. Trent Dilfer, Matt Hasselbeck, Ryan Leaf. What a quarterback room that was. Cordell Stewart is 87. 72. He's 31 at this point. Tommy Maddox. For a lot of you, if you don't follow or if you've been following the NFL only recently or somewhat recently, it's not even. The Packers' choice to draft Jordan Love when they have a very competent Hall of Fame quarterback on the roster may seem unprecedented to you. It's not. The Denver Broncos, who had a 32-year-old John Elway on the roster, in the year 1993, used the first-round draft pick on Tommy Maddox. Within a couple years, the head coach general manager who took him, Dan Reeves, was fired. Tommy Maddox was out of the NFL. He won XFL MVP at one point. And, of course, John Elway and Mike Shanahan went on to beat Dan Reeves in the Super Bowl for the Denver Broncos. But Tommy Maddox, the Jordan Love of his day. David Carr. I'd love to do David Carr, but he's a rookie. Kent Graham. Steve McNair is awesome. Billy Volek. I have a lot of memories of Billy Volek. Specifically, there was this stretch of time. Is he on the roster already? Yeah, Drew Bennett. There was a stretch where Steve McNair was injured and Billy Volek came in, and Billy Volek and Drew Bennett wrote sweet, sweet music together. And I was like, the Broncos should trade for both of those guys. Didn't happen. Billy Volek did not turn into the player I thought he might. I wonder if we could pry Steve McNair away. Culpepper. Not going to happen. Okay. Jeff Garcia, also a former Stampeder. I don't think that's going to happen, though. 85 and 84. You know what? NFL Fever 2003. The Bears weren't this good. The Bears did not have two starting caliber quarterbacks on the roster. John Kitna, Gus Frerotte, Akili Smith. Again, if I were playing every game, I would take Akili Smith and turn his career around. But 5 TDs against 12 interceptions at a 47.4 completion percentage. Akili Smith also played for the Calgary Stampeders. I mean, I say played. I don't think he saw a game snap. Couldn't cut it. Drew Bledsoe. What a tough break for that guy. And we're back to the Broncos. So our candidates are Steve McNair, who would go on to get traded by the Tennessee Titans. Cordell Stewart. Aaron Brooks. All right. Oh, and it's very funny that I can propose trades between teams that aren't my own. Why would the left column not be the Broncos? Oh yeah, I guess you can have multiple teams that you're the owner of. Okay. And the other option is, of course, Tim Couch. But that's less exciting. So let's see if we can't make the impossible happen. Getting Aaron McNair on board. So what do we have for trade pieces? We can throw McLaughlin at them. I mean, you can only have 3 pieces, so it's not like you can just keep stacking the deck like you can in certainly NHL games. There is the right linebacker, Woodall, and then I would throw a first-round pick into this. Okay. So let's take Woodall out and try for a second, because we have 2 of them now. Tampa Bay second. Not even moving the needle. Rob Moore? Nothing. Let's take McLaughlin out. Let's see if Berline moves the needle for him. No. What about Brockermeyer? Brockermeyer does it. Now, we've traded Salam, so I can't do that. But we know we're in the realm of... Oh, Brockermeyer's very good. Mobley doesn't do it. Dan Neal doesn't do it. Matt Leapsis doesn't do it. I don't know, this might not be doable. Okay. We are now going to try to get Aaron Brooks. Rob Moore is not interesting to them in the slightest. Woodall? Nothing. Ooh, they like Aaron Brooks more than the Titans like McNair. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so let's go ahead and do some real alternate history and get the 87 overall Cordell Stewart. Well, no, isn't that interesting? Let's go ahead and throw McLaughlin in there. I feel guilty about doing that trade. I mean, you have Charlie Batch. He's coming off a Pro Bowl. You'd have to throw in a pick, right? I just want to get rid of McLaughlin for salary cap reasons. You want McLaughlin more than a second-round pick? All right. All right. Let's do it, baby. Steelers, accept your trade. I know we don't have enough. Okay, there's one more player that I think we need. Desmond Howard. Sorry, Darren Howard. Not Desmond Howard. Darren Howard. I need a left end. Bertrand Berry's not there yet. Keith Washington. No, thank you. Kavika Pittman. Not going to do it. So, we're going to go... Great. Okay. So now let's take a look at our quarterback situation. Cordell Stewart. Steve Berline. Actually, maybe we can trade Berline. Because I would like a left linebacker. So we got Berline in the mix. LLB. As much as I know that Ian Gold turns into a pretty respectable player, the thing I want to do here is have a kick-ass team. Which takes me to the 49ers. Was he even on the roster at that point? Yeah. Julian Peterson. Steve Berline for Peterson. Let's go. What if we throw in... No. This is getting a little silly, but I don't care. What if we throw in Reese? Reese, and let's give you a third, a second, a first? First isn't going to do it. Okay, you guys know what you have in Julian Peterson. I respect that. Reese is not going to do it. That much has become clear to me. Doesn't even move the needle. Is there another player that you overvalue because of positional deficiencies? Diaz Infante? No. Clinton Portis? No. Mike Anderson. Okay, that tracks. Mike Anderson's a guy who's coming off was Offensive Rookie of the Year before. So we're going to say that we're doing that and Clark. Not Clark. And Reese. Okay. What a monstrosity of a team we've devised here. I love it. Okay, so we're going to take a look at our depth chart now. Optimize with the white button. Patrick Hape, who is a tight end. But he'll play fullback for us, fine. Terrell Davis and Clinton Portis. I want to see what Terrell Davis can do, certainly, but it should be Clinton Portis. Lenny Friedman, 79, great. We need a new left tackle. Quarterback. Todd Huzak. Right guard, we got Dan Neal and Steve Herndon. Left tackle, right tackle. Wide receivers looking good. On defense, we've got Darren Howard, Dalton, Simeon Rice, Trevor Price, Eric Brown, Champ Bailey, Julian Peterson, Al Wilson, Deltha O'Neill, John Mobley, Kenoy Kennedy, Darren Howard. Good stuff. I feel great. Okay, so now we need to go do some cutting because I don't need Tovesi, and I like the idea of having Bertrand Berry around. Johnson, you're out of here. How many defensive linemen does a team need? 8 seems like a perfectly valid number to me. Hape Carter. I know we need 2 fullbacks in this game. Very stupid. 2 free safeties will do us just fine. We do need a halfback. Is it Jamal Anderson time? I think it's Jamal Anderson time. 1-year deal, Jamal. That's all you get. Jason Elam, Champ Bailey, Willie Middlebrooks, Friedman, Diaz Infante, Julian Peterson, Ian Gold, Brockmeyer, need a left tackle, 57, not great. Al Wilson, Keith Burns. Keith Burns played for the Broncos for like more than a decade. Just a great backup. Sorry, Todd. You're out of here. Don't need 3 quarterbacks. I like the idea of Jarius Jackson backing up Cordell Stewart. It's Jarius Jackson. Well, Jarius Jackson's speed is terrible. I guess his everything is terrible, huh? Do we have any speedy quarterbacks? 51, 51, 60, 60, 56... No. Deltha O'Neill. Jay Spencer. I guess we could use another quarterback. A cornerback. Emmons. Lamar Emmons. Great. I'm just basically filling out a roster based on my 2020 understanding of what a depth chart should look like. Right tackle. Kenoy Kennedy, Shannon Sharp, Dwayne Carswell. Are there any fun tight ends? No. Rod Smith, Ashley. Any fun wide receivers? Bert Emanuel? No. Folks, I think we got ourselves a roster. So let's go ahead and optimize. And we are going to make sure that Portis is at least our change of pace back. I think he should be the starter. Terrell Davis is the man, but he's also old. Like, that's... And I don't mean old as in, like, we should put him out to pasture. I mean old as in, like, the dude could not stay healthy. Howard, Dalton, Rice, Price, Brown, Champ, Julian Peterson. This is very funny to me. Al Wilson, Deltha O'Neill, John Mobley, Kenoy Kennedy. Okay, great. I'm going to start playing a game. I might quit. And then just simulate out the rest. Oh, we're not playing the Rams. Good God, no. Okay, let's simulate the week, see how it goes. This is very funny. I remember... So a lot of your modern... Did we win? We did win 35-20. Great. Okay. We'll play the 49ers for sure. A lot of modern games, as you're simulating through, will have somewhere on the screen where it's clear what your record is. This is not one of those games. This game just you got to keep your eye on the bottom and top of the screen and be like, did we win this week? Oh, I think we won. Did we? I don't know. It's very funny to simulate through entire seasons. Okay, we will play. I'm going to do terribly, just so everyone knows. Look at those graphics.
I'm Kevin Calabro, and we're here to watch this regular season matchup. The 49ers will take on the Broncos.
Garrison Hurst. What are you going to say about Garrison Hurst game?
Who will be the key players to watch here, Ron?
You're looking at one of the NFL leaders for interceptions. This guy has a knack for getting his hands on the football. He can really disrupt the plans of an opposing offense.
Delph O'Neal had a 78-yard interception return.
He's got a low center of gravity, and he loves to run with power. He'll run inside to tackles tough, where the yards are hard to come by.
2 touchdowns for Mike Anderson in week 1. That's a little heartbreaking. Ooh, that skybox. I may have mentioned that I'm emulating this. This is very bad. I know that I'm playing on rookie. Look at this kicking. It's swinging left and right, and you press A, and then it sticks, and then you need to press A again for power. Bonk! So, I know that I'm playing on rookie, but I'm going to do terribly. I'm generally not a good defensive player to begin with, but certainly being completely unfamiliar with what this game prioritizes in terms of skill and so forth. Oh, we stuffed him. Anyways, we'll see how this goes here. I'm not expecting anything. Terrell Owens on the 49ers at this point, of course. So I expect Foley to do terribly at defense. Maybe not. Who can say? Who can know the world? I keep wanting to press the right trigger to look at the play scheme, but obviously that's just not a thing. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Who was that? Was that Julian Peterson? Who's that? Come on, show me a name. I missed it. Fine, we'll go take a look. Peterson, yes! Getting revenge. Besides which, I'm not here to play this game. I'm here to play the game that you just saw me playing with the trading and whatnot. Look at those graphics, man. Wow. We stuffed them. Maybe this won't be so bad after all.
He puts his foot to the ball. Casper gets the ball.
Okay. A to boost. Do you see that lightning bolt there? Woo!
Taken down near the 37-yard line. Nice bit of running there. First and 10.
Okay, we're going to start with a big counter. Look at this.
Davis runs it. Hold it. We've got a flag.
Oh, come on. Come on, man. Rod Smith holding my ass. Get out of here. We're going to run the shotgun. Because I do want to see how Cordell's wheels are. You know, I may not have gotten Madden 2004 with the infamous Mike Vick, indestructible Mike Vick, but I certainly played it. And, well, after one play, it certainly feels like football games had not yet devised a way to balance running quarterbacks.
They're going with a single running back.
Single running back. Going left.
It's a handoff.
Let your blocks develop. Okay, turn the corner. Okay, good play.
Johnson took down the ball carrier. He managed a gain of 8 yards.
Terrific work by the offense. Move those sticks.
I understand I'm playing on rookie. But dang it, let me have my fun.
Davis has the ball. Maintains his balance. Stopped at the line of scrimmage.
I don't think so. That play was shut down at the line.
I don't think so. Okay, we gotta throw a ball.
McCaffrey wide right.
Now, can I hot route? I think I could hot route with white. Yeah, okay, so sharp. Okay, so it's not like I cycle through, I say left. Yeah, okay. Great. Sharp's going left, Smith's going...
Throws.
Sharp!
And it's caught.
Yes! Shannon Sharp!
That was sweet. Nice looking touchdown.
I know, baby.
Alright. I'm gonna... We're gonna pause recording here. I'll see. Oh,
The drive
well,
covered 36
let's
yards and took 5 plays.
let's do one more. We'll do one more defensive stand.
The ball snapped. And the kick. And it's good.
So obviously, when it comes to trading for Julian Peterson, Julian Peterson's a fascinating player. Because his pedigree as an actual player in the NFL did always seem very high.
He'll bring it out of the end zone.
However, his pedigree as a video game character was always through the roof.
Play to an end.
He was always rated
Position is below average.
like 95 and 93 and was the best player on the 49ers.
With one running back.
And I don't want to, you know,
Man in motion.
I don't want to speak ill of the guy because he's obviously, I traded for him. I think he was a great NFL player. But was he was he ever a player who was 95 overall? I don't really know. I didn't watch that much 49ers, and his skill set was not one that
They line up in the eye.
me at that age would have been able to pick up on as a watcher of the NFL. So maybe trading for him is not as unrealistic as maybe I'm feeling guilty about. But
Picked up 8 yards on the play.
okay, I'm gonna pause here, and we'll be right back. So after that game, I very simply accidentally closed out before hitting save. But I believe I've rebuilt the team that we had built. We got Julian Peterson. We got Champ Bailey. We got Darren Howard and Simeon Rice. We got Cordell Stewart. And I believe everything's the same. So we are going to simulate the year. We could give ourselves a 2-0 start. But now we're just going to simulate the whole dang thing. We're just going to hope for the best. Now, a fun thing about this is that, as you can see, I believe I may have already said this, but it's been a while. There's nowhere on this screen where you see what your record is. So you just got a moment where it's like, oh, did we win? And I have memories of, like, trying to quickly see, like, try to keep track while, you know, it's going by. What's our record? What are we at? Now, I am curious here to take a stop here in the week. Week 8. Let's simulate this week. And then we're going to take a peek at what our record is, because I'm very curious. Standings. AFC West. NFC West. AFC West. 1-7? What is happening to this team? Oh my god. Well, you know, such is life. Oh boy. Well, let's see what our offseason looks like. I am very excited to see what the offseason system looks like in this game. I remember there being rounds to the free agency. I don't believe it's very in-depth. But at the very least, we'll get a high draft pick out of this nonsense. Maybe Cordell Stewart just wasn't the guy. Maybe it was a bad decision. And we need to get ourselves our true quarterback of the future. I swear if Washington, you know, had a great year on the back of Brian Greasy, I'm going to be quite upset. So let's take a look at our standings. We went 4-12. That's disappointing. Rams won their division. Titans won their division. Texans did very well. Good for them. Falcons doing well. Dolphins winning over the defending. Yeah, good. Washington did not do good. Dolphins, Titans, Texans. In the NFC, Falcons, Cowboys, Rams, Lions, Vikings, 49ers, Cardinals. Bengals 8-8. Cancel? Okay, well, we're going to hit A to begin the playoffs. Oh, look at this fun little system. You could swap between the brackets. Oh, there's like 3 brackets. Haha. Okay. Well, let's simulate our way through the AFC here. Patriots beat the Rams. Steelers beat the Chargers. 49ers trounced the Rams. My goodness. Okay. Lions beat the Vikings. And now the Cowboys have beaten the Lions. And after dropping 59 on the Rams, the 49ers lose to the Falcons. Steelers beat the Dolphins. That's a little bittersweet. Titans advance. Okay, Steelers, Titans. The Steelers advancing to the Super Bowl after trading us Cordell Stewart. And the Falcons. Steelers, Falcons. And the Falcons win. This would have been the year of Buccaneers, Raiders. Isn't that fun? I am not going to play the Pro Bowl. And we have ended the season. And now we see just what is in store for our 4-12 Denver Broncos. My goodness, I really thought we'd look good. Let's go ahead and take a look at our roster. 90! Cordell Stewart has progressed. His 2012, where he completed 57.6% of his throws, threw 16 touchdowns against 8 interceptions. Apparently he's up to a 90. Jamal Anderson, looking good. Davis regressed. Clinton Portis has not progressed. Rod Smith, 95. Ed McCaffrey, 90. Ashley Lilly, 90 with a 100 speed. Look at these guys. Boy. Shannon Sharp's taking a step back. Tom Nalen looking good. Dan Neal looking good. Lenny Friedman looking good. Brockermeyer leaps us. This defensive line looks good. Simeon Rice looking great. Last Pro Bowl trip, 2003. He had 14 sacks last year. Good stuff. Desmond Howard, 2 sacks last year. Not the best. Pittman's advanced. Trevor Price, man. 6 sacks last year. Okay. Peterson. 4 sacks, an interception. John Mobley looking good. Al Wilson, of course, made the Pro Bowl. Champ Bailey did not make the Pro Bowl. Did he get many interceptions? 3 interceptions, pretty good. Deltha O'Neal, 4 interceptions, no Pro Bowl. Kenoy Kennedy looking good. Eric Brown looking good. Okay, so I feel like if we can get ourselves a good quarterback. It's a nice little page, but not as good as the NHL version. Contract negotiations. Who do we want to re-sign? Jamal Anderson? No. And maybe we need a halfback. Maybe we need to move on from Clinton Portis. I'm not going to offer Jamal Anderson any money. Brockermeyer, 89. We've got 37 million in cap room. Lock down that left side for the next 5 years. I feel good about that. Eric Brown, 1.27 a year, looking good. I'll take that. Cole will let walk. Lionel Dalton. Okay. Elam, we're going to give you all the money you want. Oh, Jackson we're going to let walk. Herndon. Friedman. No, we need to let you walk. Friedman's out. Ed McCaffrey. Again, franchise legend. He can stay as long as he wants. Tom Nalen, 7-year contract. We're getting him locked down now. Trevor Price, 7-year contract. Rod Smith, 7-year contract. Okay. Trevor Price, 7-year contract. Rod Smith, 7-year contract. Great. We probably don't have a whole hell of a lot of... Terrell Davis, you're going to stick around. We have 10 million in cap room now. Boy, that got eaten up fast, huh? Release all my unsigned players. Yes, I do want you to do that. Sign free agents. Okay, so who do we have on the roster? We've got Nalen at center. We'll go position by position. This defensive line looks great. Howard, Dalton, Rice. Pittman. We'll trade Pittman. But price 95. Great. Brown's looking good. We just gave him an extension, of course. Terrell Davis, Clinton Portis. Portis, spot of interest. Champ Bailey, of course. Julian Peterson. Ian Gold, we might want to trade. Brockermeyer, locked up for the long term. Al Wilson, franchise middle linebacker. Cordell Stewart, 90 overall. Dan Neal, we're going to keep. John Mobley, Leapsis. So it's really a question of, where could we upgrade? Wayne Gandy at left tackle. Jamie Winborn, Teddy Bruschi. Look at these names. Jeremiah Trotter. Punter, whatever. Trent Green is available on the free agent market. R.W. McCorders. I like our corners. Who's our left guard right now? Because we let him walk. We don't have a left guard right now. Do we have a right guard who can slot over? No, we don't. So we do need a guard. That's a thing. Junior Seau. No. TJ Slaughter. I thought he played line. I thought he played with his hand down. 239, huh? Right tackle, we got a lot of guys there. We don't need one of those. Blaine Bishop. Keith Lyle. Keith Lyle was a Ram, wasn't he? Yeah, I think so. Don't need any tight ends, as intriguing as Todd Heap's name is to me. Tim Brown. Chris Chambers. Goodness gracious. For those of you who never saw Chris Chambers catch a football, whew! Just an incredible thing to watch. Jeff Saturday is available, but of course we already have a guy. Brian Robinson, Chris Sullivan, we like our defensive line. Robert Smith, Andre Carter, Justin Smith, all very appealing, none of which we're going to pursue. Mike Allstott, 2.8 million a year, I don't think so. Anthony Thomas, 90 overall, made the Pro Bowl last year. Why'd the Bears let this guy walk 1,540 yards, 6 yards per attempt? 3.6 million. Am I just signing Anthony Thomas on a free agency? I mean, there's work done. A player we know is good. What did... He also made a Pro Bowl last year. He ran for 2,000 yards! Well, shit. In this here fictional world, we're going to give Warwick Dunn a 5-year contract to come join the Denver Broncos after running for 2,000 yards. Yeah, see, it's rounds. So you get to pick a player, and you get to say, this is my guy for this round. And then everybody else gets to do the same. And we are going to go to overall, and we're going to see if there's a guard I guess we can do that here, right? Like right guard, we got DiNapoli. We got Ben Coleman. Is there a left guard? Corbin Lancina. $2.72 million a year. You know, how much do you want for 1 year? 2.72. Okay. We're going to do it. We're going to do it, and then we're going to skip out on signing a free agent next year. Or this round. Decline selection this round. Great. And now we have trade proposals. What are trade proposals? Oh! Teams are just coming to us and saying, hey, do you want to do this trade? Fascinating. I don't want to trade Eric Brown for Mike Gandy. I don't want to trade Eric Brown for Chris Chambers, a player you just signed in free agency. Julian Peterson for Tyrone Wheatley. I just gave work done a boatload of money, no thanks. Dan Neal for Chad Brown, no thank you. Eric Brown for Steve Smith. That's very funny, but unfortunately, I don't want to do that. Shannon Sharp for Peter Boulware. That's a bad trade for you, Baltimore, and stop trying to get Shannon Sharp. Deltha O'Neal for Eric Moulds. As cool as it would be to have four wide receivers who are 89 or above, we're not going to do that. Simeon Rice for Marvell Smith. Seems like a good trade for me, but no, I need my pass rush. Great. Okay. Okay, so we got draft order. We're picking second overall. Draft preview. Whoo, look at these ratings. Jay Crosby, 94. Ed Boston. Freddie Kim. Okay, let's take a look at our quarterbacks. Ernie McElroy. Boy, look at these quarterbacks. Okay. Can I trade right now? Front office, great. I can trade right now. Okay. So I can go ahead and clear out some of this cap problem. Let's go ahead and send Pittman out to the Cowboys, maybe. Cowboys, you want him? How about you give us a third? How about you give us a fourth? How about you give us a fifth? No? You don't want him at all. Okay. What about you, Miami? No. Eagles? You're over the cap. Falcons? You just won the Super Bowl. Maybe you want to get a different guy. Nope. Pittman. Pittman, my guy. Brackens. The Jets have Jonathan Abraham. This is pre-Falcons. Keith Edwards. Who doesn't have? Okay, Packers. Packers, you want Pittman, right? Huh? Okay, what if we moved up? What if we did a trade up? So we could give you Pittman, a second, and a third for a first. Let's do it. Okay. Cap space issues. Who else can we clear out? Trevor Price. E. Brown. We do want to get rid of Clinton Portis because, you know, he's not a cap problem as much as he is just a wasted talent behind 2,000-yard rusher. Work done. That's so funny. Love this alternate history stuff, you know? So who wants Clinton Portis? Who needs Clinton Portis? Certainly not the Steelers. The Texans have Allen, a player I don't think did anything. Eddie George. Now the Vikings have Ricky Waters, who should retire. Is there any way we can talk you into this? And they really just don't want to trade for him, huh? Okay, so where else are we clearing out money from? Carswell's probably overpaid as a tight end. I mean, obviously Cordell Stewart. Who's... And let's go ahead and... Just because I almost hit... Draft order is the Panthers. Maybe that's what we do, huh? We go to the Panthers and we say, hey, check out this guy we got. Cordell Stewart. You're going to love him. And we'll throw in Dwayne Carswell. And Clinton Portis. And you're going to throw in Mushin Muhammad, no. Tony Gonzalez? No. Who can we try to swindle away from you? At the very least, we're going to get a couple depth pieces out of you, Carolina. Okay. Man, I love this music. Okay. Jay Montgomery, 74 overall, 340k. Great. Let's find ourselves another very low salaried guy. Perfect. Yeah, I know we don't have a lot of players. I don't give a shit. We're picking first, and we're picking second. Remember when I said this was going to be a realistic rebuild? I remember those days too. Okay, so we have Jay Crosby, a 94 overall. We probably should have figured this out before we got on the clock, eh? It's between Kim and McElroy. Freddie Kim has great acceleration. McElroy is a dual threat. But Kim... man. Yeah, let's go Kim. And despite your suggested picks, we're not going to do that. We are actually going to take Crosby. This incredible talent. Oh yeah, now we're back on the clock with the pick we got from... Oh no, okay. Halfback millions. Well, a 93 overall guard sounds like just exactly like what the doctor ordered for this team. Goodness gracious. That's not very realistic rebuild of me, is it? I don't have any of these picks. Oh, I have a fourth round pick, excuse me. Let's go ahead and take a right tackle, Bernardi. And then let's go ahead and take a tight end, right? Clancy is very bad. How about a punter? Got a punter? Great. Great, we are through the draft, folks. Now we got to sign these guys. Eugene Austin, 3 years, 4.4 million a year. Kim, 3 years, 4.6. Crosby, 3 years, 4.42. I am over the cap, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, who needs Dalton? when you got Crosby. Huh? 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 I mean, that's still not enough. We still need another salary to get rid of. I think it's Lacina. Did we just sign him? Yes, we did. Or did we just extend him? Yes, we did. Is Dan Neal enough? Bernardi is overpaid. Okay, we're going to go here to the Saints. We're going to say, hey, you want this mishmash of players for a first-round pick? Second, a third. That's very funny. We'll take a second and a third for these players that, you know, who cares? Okay. Start next season. CPU, please fix my team. Great. Alright, we're gonna... I know I said that we were just gonna do one season, but I really am curious about what this team looks like with this Freddie Kim. Work done, Terrell Davis. Coming off the 2,000-yard season. We got Smith, McCaffrey, Lilly. We got Shannon Sharp. We got Tom Nalen, Eugene Austin, Lacina, Brockermeyer, Lepsis. We got Rice. We got Howard. We got Price. We got Crosby. We got Peterson, Mobley, and Wilson. We got Champ Bailey, Deltha O'Neill, Kenoy Kennedy, Eric Brown. Let's see how it goes, folks. All right. Let's see how my rookie did. Standings. AFC West. 10-6. Hot diggity. 21 T's, 12 interceptions, 3,500 yards. Freddie Kim looking, and he's rated 98 now. Holy shit. Work done, 1,000 yards. A pretty steep drop off, my guy, but, you know, Terrell Davis chipping in. 200. Great stuff. Receiving. We didn't have any 1,000-yard receivers, but we had a pretty solid group overall. Yep. Let's see how we did on defense. Sacks. Simeon Rice with 10, Price with 6, Wilson with 6, Crosby with 4, Darren Howard with 4. Darren Howard maybe not pulling his weight like I thought he would. Brown with 4 interceptions, Al Wilson with 4 interceptions, Champ Bailey with 3, Deltha O'Neill with 1. Okay, okay. Well, this is a team with a rookie quarterback. Now, I am curious. About our good friends, the Panthers. 7-9. Hold on, Kurt Warner threw the most TDs in the league this year, and it was 22. I understand that there's, you know, that the league has changed. But this was not what it was like back then. This is not quite accurate. Brian Greasy turning in a perfectly respectable season. Maybe I shouldn't have traded Cordell. But again, maybe I should have. Well, let's see how we do in these here playoffs. Okay. I'm afraid that I am going to simulate the Bengals Broncos. We won! Okay, Buccaneers Cowboys. Buccaneers advance. Seahawks advance over the Rams. Colts versus Browns. Broncos Titans. Now, Steve McNair, Eddie George. I would bet on the Titans, but Yeah. Yep. Seems like it's the Titans' time. Seahawks, Titans. What a wildly fascinating Super Bowl. Seahawks win. Well, this has been a very fun trip down memory lane. I want to see who retired here. Obviously, not a simulator. Princeton Buckner. Not a simulator that's, you know, aged as a pinnacle of realism or whatever. But this is how I started out, you know. This is it. And it's very fun to revisit. It's very cool to it's very funny to come back here and see how this interface, listen to this music. So thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hey, Eugene Austin, 99. I think drafting might be broken in this game, you guys. I think the strategy would be to trade for as many first-round draft picks as you can. Get 9 of them in 1 year. Anyways, yeah. I might do a follow-up to this and play NHL 2004? NHL 2005, maybe. The one with Iginla on the cover. Because that's when I started getting into this with NHL. And that's how I became a Blackhawks fan, because they were the worst team in the league at the time, so they were always the most fun to rebuild. Take it easy, y'all.